Hello, everybody, and welcome to 5 in 5, your weekly diet of bite-sized reflections from individuals who are trailblazing diversity and inclusion in many walks of life. My name is Niall Henry, and I'm your host of 5 in 5. Today, I'm joined by a very exciting guest, Mike Bugembe, who is the CEO of Decidable and the chair of Motorsport UK's Racial Diversity Committee. Welcome to 5 in 5, Mike.
How you doing, Niall? Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for being a guest. And we're going to crack on straight into the questions, Mike. So the first one is, what do you think is one of the biggest barriers to diversity in motorsport?
Well, actually, it's a hard question to answer because there's several of them. I mean, the one that immediately comes to mind to everybody is the cost barrier. And what's interesting about that is that it does create a lot of conversation where people will say that the cost affects everybody. And then you start having to get into an understanding of how generational wealth has been, systematically prevented from a certain group of people from, certain diverse backgrounds. So that's one very obvious one, but I'll probably raise a couple more that I think are really important and that we can perhaps do more of addressing quite quickly. And so that is publicity. So a lot of motorsport related activities, how you get into motorsport, how, whether it's karting and what sort of different, if you like, categories exist and so forth, different opportunities for karting, that information feels very much like a closed secret. And when it is publicized, it's publicized in publications that, people from diverse backgrounds don't tend to engage with. So they're not going to get exposed to that information, learn about it, and so forth. So I think even a small adjustment in where this information is shared will have a very big impact on increasing diversity in motorsport.
Well, in terms of those barriers that you've just mentioned, what do you think, in terms of actions, what actions can we take to prevent and combat some of those barriers?
So when we talk about publicity, there's probably two things. One that I've mentioned already, let's choose the right publications and let's be open about it, right? There's no reason to keep this quite quiet in terms of the ways to get into motorsport, different careers in motorsport. I mean, if you ask individuals, that's information that a lot of people just randomly off the street wouldn't be able to answer. Like, what are the different opportunities? Everything from finance through to marketing and, how you attract sponsors and all of that. And then engineering, of course, is such a wide breadth. So to just share that in publications that are used widely, that would be one. The second one, though, is whilst doing that publicity, let's showcase the people that are there already that look like us, because they do exist, right? Although they are very, very small in number, what it does is it really helps the see me, be me mentality. I think it's a sort of line that you have said. So whilst we're sharing that publicly, let's talk about the people that are there already, their journeys, so that people can see that, oh my gosh, there is also a path possible for me, Yeah.
Love that. I love it.
Thank you.
Now, Mike, in terms of what development right now in diversity in motorsport excites you?
And again, here there's quite a few. I think some of the work that you guys are doing in addressing some of the barriers around the fact that most tracks are in rural areas and then bringing some to the inner city where people like us are, where there's a much more densely populated group of diverse individuals. The whole electric revolution, I've only just become recently a convert in that, so moving from petrol head to electric has been a challenge for me, but I'm totally sold on that idea right now, and it's also motorsport. So I'm excited about those sort of developments. But let me add one more. I think the Lewis Hamilton, the commission report was a massive development for me personally, because it is the first time somebody has taken a structured empirical approach to try and understand what the issues are and what we could do about it. Now, there's a lot of people who perhaps weren't so excited about what was coming from that report. But I think, there's a lot of undisputable evidence and anecdotes in there that really, if you read that with honest eyes, you have to act. So I'm excited about potentially what that report could do, but we just need to keep it alive and make sure more people are understanding what's in it.
Absolutely, completely agree. Yeah. And here's an interesting question I like to ask all of our guests. what is your favorite failure and how did you overcome it?
Okay. There's a I'll join a couple here, but they probably stem from the same thing. I was asked to be co-best man at a friend's wedding many years ago, right? We're talking potentially 20 odd years ago. And I said, okay, I'm co-best man. So I didn't even write a speech. And come to the wedding, I think that the other best man who was supposed to give a speech didn't have anything to say. So they came to me. And they played on my arrogance. They're like, "Oh, you're a good speaker. Go for it. You should be able to speak." And I didn't think twice. I was like, "Yeah." I got bigged up by what they were saying. So I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I went up, took the microphone, and it was an absolute disaster. It started well. I cracked one joke. Everyone laughed, but literally after that, it was radio silence, tumbleweed. Nothing was landing. And, I very quickly had to go through to the emotional side and just say, charge your glasses and so forth. But it was probably the most humiliating and humbling experience of my life. But how did I overcome it? I'll tell you what it taught me. And it played a really big part in my career. Shortly after that, I became a public speaker. And I've got a TED Talk coming up in a couple of weeks, actually, for the University of New York. And so there's lots of interesting things that have developed from that. But I think what it taught me was, be prepared and know your subject area. So I got myself to the stage where at any point, if anybody asked me to stand up and say something, I have a system by which I can do that without falling flat on my face like I did on that day. So, yeah.
And now, ever since now, you're getting requests to come and speak at weddings.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? No, I should tell you, I've never been asked to be best man after that. But it's worked in my favor because now I get paid to speak. So, I get
it's a win-win, isn't it?
It's a win-win, right?
Excellent. Now, Mike, last question of the day, random bonus question.
Yeah.
What superpower do you wish you had?
Oh gosh, so this one is an easy one for me. It's time, to be able to control time, primarily to go back, right? And that's because of the benefit of hindsight. There are always things you wish you could do better, right? And these are small optimizations that I'm looking at. So by the way, I'm in the field of data and artificial intelligence. So forgive the language that I use. It's just what I've done my whole life since the age of 9. But going back and just making some small corrections, like I'll give you a quick example, like Bitcoin. I sat with a friend in 2010 and we sat together around Bitcoin, and I put some in and he put loads in, and he was like, actually, I'm just going to go for broke, right? So he quit work in 2017. He will never have to work again for the rest of his life. I didn't get the same benefit, right? Yet we had done the same sort of analysis. So I think the power of hindsight, it's one of those sort of things that I would love to be able to get a little bit more control over. Yeah.
Great. And Mike, that's all we've got time for today. So thank you so much for being a guest on 5 and 5. And where can people find or follow you?
Oh, absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn at mikebugembe.com, Instagram at mikebugembe.com. And also, I think there should be something on YouTube. I'm not too sure, but let's keep it at LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter as well. So you can come follow me on Twitter as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. So now you've heard it from the man himself, guys. Go and follow him. Go check out his stuff. They're doing some great stuff with Decidable as well. And if you really like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, share on LinkedIn. And catch us next week for another exciting episode.
Brilliant.
Catch you all later. Take care.